Pittsfield State Senator Adam Hines wants to see the state create an outdoor recreational office, which he says would be a boost for the local economy. Hines has filed a bill that would market recreation even more in the Bay State. He's joined in his effort by 18 other legislators, including State Representative Natalie Blais of Sunderland. The Pittsfield senator says Western Massachusetts has long been outspent by neighboring New York and Vermont in promoting itself. Connecting Point's Ray Herschel sat down with Senator Hines and Representative Blais to talk about how a new state recreation office would benefit Western Massachusetts.
In terms of why, essentially we find that a lot of Western Mass and a lot of the rural areas in particular are contending with this dynamic that we see at the national level, and we hear about it a lot. And how is it that rural areas are surviving economically? And come inside that is this awareness that our natural assets and our natural resources are a huge asset. And we do well, quite honestly, in the rural areas in Western Mass in terms of the economy as we've watched our small mills shut down. But we do well because we have, Five College area, we have a vibrant arts scene, and we have access to nature. And so this is an effort to take advantage of that. We've seen that nationwide outdoor recreation is a $600 billion industry. It's a rural jobs creator. And yet when we looked at how to capitalize on that, we realized there is nobody in the state that's actually working to promote outdoor recreation. And so the first objective is to have an office that is responsible for doing that every single day. And so it creates this office under the Secretary for Energy and Environmental Affairs.
And Representative Blais, you have signed on and you're supporting the legislation that was filed, the bill that was filed. Tell us why you're on board and how do you feel it'll help your constituents in the 1st Franklin District?
Yeah. I'm tremendously grateful for Senator Hines' efforts on this matter because I do think it will impact the 1st Franklin significantly. And it's not only about the return on investment. It's not only about the dollars or the 120,000 jobs that this creates in Massachusetts alone. It has the potential to improve health outcomes. It has the ability for us to help raise the next generation who's going to be aware of climate change and where we are and how we can save the planet. And I think it also has the opportunity to reverse some of these demographic shifts that we've seen and bring people into our area.
I was reading some statistics, and I was quite surprised, to be honest with you, at the number of people who are engaged in outdoor recreation in Massachusetts, particularly Western Massachusetts. And if this figure is correct, it's kind of surprising. They said on a typical day, 1,000 to 2,000 people are on the Deerfield River. That's incredible.
Absolutely correct, and we do know that's true. We have multiple operators, and each of them have a certain number of permits that they're allowed, and so it's over 300 each, and there are 3 operators right now. And so that is absolutely the case, and what we've seen is that what we're trying to do is capture the folks that often are going through Massachusetts or from Massachusetts up to Vermont for outdoor recreation. Vermont has done their own studies on their outdoor rec and tourism, and 70% of their visitors are coming from Massachusetts or below. And so we realize that we're well positioned out here in Western Mass. Within 100 miles, you have the population of Boston and New York City and Albany and others. And how do we capitalize on that group that is really interested in getting involved in outdoors? And to be honest with you, it's part of the reason I came back home to Western Mass. I was living in the Middle East for a while. I was living in New York City for a while. And recognizing that I could have a quality of life with my mountain biking and downhill skiing was a huge attraction for me to come home.
And we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Marketing, so important, reaching out in the tourism business. New York State has been very aggressive in its marketing budget. Other states have as well. New York State is coming right into Western Massachusetts with their ad campaign. Is that hurting us as a region in terms of tourism, and how would this outdoor recreation office combat that and help us here, if you will?
The answer is unequivocally yes, it's hurting us. And we've been making the argument that we need to be spending more on marketing dollars. Quite honestly, we spend in the nature of $6 million as a state. New York State spends in the nature of $70 million. $5 million of that is just for upstate New York. And so you see this argument being made, come to the Hudson Valley to enjoy our outdoor recreation and really fancy images. we've even seen some that say, "Come to us. We're next to Western Mass," and so talk about adding insult to injury. And so we need to make sure that we have the product to market, and then the finances to do that. And so that's another piece of this puzzle.
Great. Representative Blais, you represent the 1st Franklin District. You see a bill like this or an office like this, if it's created, helping create jobs, for example, expand business in outdoor recreation in your particular area that you represent.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the Southern Hilltown Collaborative has been doing extraordinary work alongside DCR in terms of raising awareness of the outdoor recreational opportunities they have there. And Senator Hines touched on this. A lot of it is about signage and directing people to where they need to be to enjoy it. You know, it's about marketing, but also having the information on the ground available for people to get where they want to go.
This is big business, obviously. Outdoor recreation in Massachusetts is a $16 billion business. That's with a B.
Yeah.
I'm not sure people understand just how expansive this is and how involved it is.
Well, you mentioned one of the obvious kind of aspects of the industry, what we're seeing for kayaking and the like, and I mentioned mountain biking. We have good news, by the way. This week, the state is announcing $100,000 for mapping mountain biking trails in the 4 western counties, and then being the precursor to then designing a world-class mountain biking system. But there are other elements like hunting and fishing, and so that's where I think we really see an expansion, snowmobiling and the like. So it's not just the usual suspects of skiing and biking, but it's the whole range, and that's what gets that number quite big.
What's the outlook for passage? I understand the bill has been filed, obviously. There's been a hearing. What was the testimony like at the hearing? And is there any likelihood or any chance that this could come up for a vote in the House and Senate this legislative session?
I'm optimistic, and one reason is because the administration is also supportive, and so we've been working with the past and current secretaries for energy and environmental affairs, and they recognize the need. There's also another aspect to this. When we have our river outfitters for kayaking and rafting dealing with the state, they often will have to interface with environmental protection, with conservation recreation, with fish and wildlife, and there's a lot of different addresses that they have to go to. There's a recognition within the government that if they had one place to go, that would help the industry as well. So that's another piece to this.
We've just got about a minute left in this segment, but I wanted to give each of you just one last word here in terms of this bill and why you feel so strongly about it. Can you just give us a quick closing comment?
I think that it's not only about the residents here in Massachusetts. 60% of Massachusetts residents have reported participating in outdoor recreation activity. But we need to get our young people involved. Both Senator Hines and I got involved in skiing because we went with our school programs. Neither of our parents, your parents don't ski? Do your parents ski?
No.
No. Yeah, my parents didn't ski either, and now we do. So, if you're not involved in outdoor recreation before the age of 12, the likelihood of you continuing to participate in outdoor rec through your lifetime declines significantly. So it's not that only that economic driver, it's also these health outcomes where you're involved in the outdoors.
Senator Hines, last 15 seconds is yours.
Great. We see a lot of these regions also the same counties that are experiencing population decline, and so the strategy for reversing that trend is making sure we have high-speed internet, strong transportation systems, and the best schools around, and a reason that people want to live here for quality of life and the like, and this is a big piece of that.